Much indeed for speaking to us today. Why is this cause so close to your heart?
It just always has been since I was very young. Growing up in Hereford, I'd see homeless people and it would always stay with me and always really affect me. And I used to, ask my parents why this person was living on the street. And then, when I moved to London, I saw more and more, and it wasn't my eyes deceiving me. It was genuinely more and more people on the streets, and it has been on the rise every year. And as soon as I was in a position where I could really do something and make a difference, that's what I did. And I've been putting on a show every year, which we have at Christmas time, because that's the time where I think people feel the most vulnerable and lonely.
I think something that always strikes me whenever I speak to people who are rough sleepers or homeless is just how easy it is for people to find themselves in that situation. It can just be one stroke of bad luck, one missed paycheck. What are the sort of stories that you've heard?
I've heard so many stories now at this point. I think the most important thing that I've done over the years in volunteering is talking to people and listening to people's stories. There's a real misconception about homelessness and still a big stigma surrounding it, that people have brought it on themselves, which is absolutely not true. It's only a couple of mortgage payments or a broken down marriage for your life to completely turn around for the worse. And it just shows that it really can happen to any of us, and it's not just what people assume, which is that people have ended up in that situation through their own, thing. So I think listening to people has been really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, rough sleeping is one thing, but there are also thousands of families in temporary accommodation having lost their homes. What would you like to see being done to help these people?
Yeah, there's a thing called the hidden homelessness, which is not necessarily the people, excuse me, you see on the street, but young people who have had to leave their home for various reasons, maybe getting into fights and arguments with their family over things, and they might end up on buses through the night or trains back and forth, or sort of couch surfing at their friends' houses. And I think what I'd love to see is first of all more support. Especially with things like mental health, which is kind of on the rise, and thankfully more and more people are talking, but I think still more needs to be done. And secondly, on a long-term basis, there needs to be more affordable housing and better checks on people who rent houses, because I think it's got to a point where people are being sort of forcibly removed from rented housing, with very short notice. And that's actually one of the big reasons why people end up on the street very quickly.
Yeah, of course. And I think at this time of year as well, with the weather, the winter, it really does bring it to the fore. A kind gesture can go a long way, can't it? What would be your message to people if they want to do something to help?
I think that honestly the interaction is such an important thing. If you see somebody on the street that's cold, if you've got anything you can offer them, whether it be an umbrella or a blanket or a coat, but also just that exchange and taking the time to stop and talk to someone, ask their name. Sometimes they might not want to talk, but if they do want to talk, do that. Obviously, change and food does help too, but I honestly think just taking the time and showing that you've noticed them. So many people get ignored, and often I've seen videos lately, which is an absolute disgrace, where people can get on late nights out when people are drunk and walking past homeless people, they can get abused and taunted, and I think that's an absolute disgrace. And I think that we just have to be more conscious of that person being another human being like yourself. And and I just want more people to help each other and be more compassionate. And if I can sort of try and teach my fans that and younger people that, then I think it could be a nicer place.
Absolutely. And it's not just about offering homeless people a safe environment. It's about offering them a way of climbing out of that situation, isn't it?
Yeah, once you become homeless, you can lose everything very quickly. You can lose your family, your friends, the social sort of network, and you can lose your confidence. And it's a really, really terrifying thing to find yourself that lonely and without anyone around you. And so, crisis are so good at helping people at this time of year. Short term, people coming in and we've got blankets and showers and food and, tea and so there's that. But yeah, God, I had a complete blank because I got distracted.
Ellie, that happens to me all the time, don't worry.
Yeah, I know, sorry. It's because I was looking into the canteen and got completely distracted. But I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, just what more can people do? I mean, obviously you are doing some great work with crisis and raising awareness here. If people want to also help, what can they do? Do you need more donations, for instance?
Yeah, donations help. Volunteering, you can apply to volunteer, maybe not for this year, but definitely for next year. And I think just being conscious and just knowing that it's a problem, on the rise, and spreading that awareness and talking about it. And I think sometimes, it's a problem that people kind of have to ignore because it's so, it's so horrible to see and so sad to see. But really, it does need to come from the top, from the government, and there needs to be more of a political force.